Welcome back to the deep dive. You know how we operate here? We grab a topic, pull all the useful bits together, and really get to the heart of it for you.
Yeah, dive right in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So today, we're digging into something I think a lot of you will find interesting, journaling. Specifically, how using a journal, like consistently, can actually unlock creativity.
hmm
Hmm.
It's not just about, waiting for lightning to strike. It's more active than that.
Right. It's about building a space for it.
Mm.
And we've been looking at insights around how having a dedicated journal really helps with that.
It definitely does. Creativity can feel so big, almost messy. But a journal, it gives it some structure, a place to capture
Whether
things.
you're writing or designing or just brainstorming ideas.
Yeah, any kind of creative spark, it needs somewhere to land otherwise. Poof, it's gone. We've all had that happen, right? An idea just vanishes. A journal stops that.
And the tools themselves seem to matter quite a bit. We've
Mhm.
talked about Lestallion journals before, and when you think about their features, like numbered pages or that really thick 120 GSM paper,
Oh, absolutely. It makes a difference.
it feels like having a quality tool actually makes you want to engage more. You
Yeah.
know, it's less of a task, more inviting.
It's a great point. It's like, well, think about cooking. A good sharp knife makes the prep work easier, even enjoyable. For creative thoughts, a journal like that Lestallion can be the same.
That's a good analogy.
And that thick paper you mentioned, the 120 GSM ivory wood-free,
Yeah.
it's not just cosmetic. It means you can actually use different pens, maybe even do some light sketching.
Without worrying about bleed through messing up the other side.
Exactly. It removes those little annoyances, those tiny barriers that can just sort of subtly stop you from exploring an idea fully.
Which brings us to those creative barriers. We've all been there, right? Just staring at a blank page, feeling totally stuck.
Oh, definitely. The dreaded creative block.
Yeah. But what's interesting is how journaling can actually help you work through that stuff.
Well, yeah, because often those blocks come from things like self-doubt or just overthinking everything, getting tangled up in your own head. And the simple act of writing those thoughts down, those worries, it's powerful. It's like you're taking them out of your head and putting them on the page.
Kind of externalizing them.
Exactly. You can look at them a bit more objectively then. It really helps clear out some of that mental noise that gets in the way of creativity.
It's like you give the anxiety its own little corner on the page, so
Yeah.
it stops interrupting the main show. And I like the idea that doing it regularly builds mental flexibility.
Yeah, it trains your brain in a way, makes you more resilient when you hit those inevitable bumps in the creative road. You learn to move past perfectionism a bit.
Less fear of the blank page.
Right. And using guided prompts can be really effective too. Questions like, oh, what's one idea I've been afraid to explore? Or describe a scene using all five senses.
Those specific kinds of questions.
Yeah, they kind of jolt you out of your usual perspective. They can spark new connections or just get the wheels turning again. You might find prompts suggested for journals like Lestallion, and they really can kickstart growth.
So it's not just about aimless writing. There are actual techniques you can use within the journal to boost creativity.
Oh, for sure. Different techniques work different muscles, creatively speaking. Take free writing, for example.
Where you just go.
Pretty much. Set a timer, maybe 10 minutes, and just write. Don't stop, don't edit, don't judge. The goal is just to get stuff out, bypass that inner critic.
I need that sometimes.
Yeah.
That critic can be loud.
Tell me about it. Then there's mind mapping, starting with a central idea and just branching out visually.
Connecting thoughts with lines and bubbles, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Doing it physically in a journal is great because you see the connections forming. It can spark insights that you might miss just writing linearly.
Makes sense. And visual journaling, too. Mixing sketches and words.
Yeah, combining images, maybe little bits of poetry, wordplay. It embraces that creativity isn't always just words. Some ideas need a sketch, some need a phrase.
And that's where something like the dash lines you find in some Lestallion notebooks could be really useful, right, for that mix of writing and drawing.
Absolutely, it gives you that flexibility on the page. Enough structure for writing, but open enough for sketches. It encourages that kind of experimentation.
You know, that actually reminds me of my cousin. She's a graphic designer, and she was feeling completely burnt out, just stuck on a branding project.
Uh-huh. Common problem.
Yeah. So she got one of those A5 Lestallion journals you mentioned, loving the feel of the soft cover, made it feel less intimidating maybe.
Okay, the tactile part matters.
Right. And she started just doodling shapes, not even related to the project at first. Then she'd write out her frustrations next to the doodles. Gradually, mixing the visual and the verbal on those pages, some new logo concepts started to emerge from the mess. She said having that freedom to mix it up was key.
That's a perfect example. The journal becomes this safe, low-pressure space to just play and see what happens. The physical act, the flexible format, it all helps unlock things.
And you mentioned daily reflection, too, just jotting down observations or inspiring moments.
Yeah, even just a few minutes at the end of the day. It trains your mind to notice things, to look for those little sparks of inspiration that are all around us. It cultivates that creative mindset over time.
So it really shifts journaling from just recording things to actively generating creativity, nurturing your imagination.
Exactly. It's about making space to explore those weirder ideas without judgment. You know, the thoughts you might normally dismiss as silly or impractical, the journal is where they can live.
Your private sandbox for ideas.
Pretty much. And catching those fleeting thoughts is crucial. They pop in, and if you don't grab them, they're gone. The journal is your butterfly net for ideas.
I like that. And the point about handwriting itself simulating the brain that really stood out to me. In our super digital world, it's easy to forget that.
It is, but there's something about the physical act. The way your hand moves across the paper, evidence suggests it engages different neural pathways than typing. Pathways linked to memory, emotion, even imagination. So using a pen on that smooth Lestallion paper, it's not just about the feel. It might actually be helping you process ideas more deeply, make more creative leaps. And having space helps too. Those wider 7.5 millimeter lines give your thoughts room to breathe.
It really does circle back to how the features of the journal support the process, doesn't it? Like those numbered pages in the Lestallion seems small, but being able to easily find an idea you had weeks ago.
Oh, hugely useful. Or organizing entries by theme. It turns the journal from just a diary into a kind of personal knowledge base, an archive of your creative thinking you can easily navigate.
Yeah, I can see that.
And the paper quality, we keep mentioning the thickness preventing bleed through, the ivory color being easy on the eyes. It all adds up to a more positive experience. Makes you want to use it more consistently. Even the soft cover makes it feel good to hold.
It encourages that ritual aspect, maybe. Like, this is my dedicated creative tool. I actually heard about a songwriter friend who was totally blocked.
Another common one.
He started carrying a small, pocket-sized Lestallion. He liked that it was durable enough to just toss in his bag, but still had that quality paper.
Right. Portability matters too.
And he said just having it with him, ready to capture a stray lyric or a melody idea the second it hit, was what broke the dam. Not sitting down trying to write, but catching fragments on the go.
That's brilliant. It becomes this constant creative companion, always ready. And features like the back pocket in many Lestallion journals, that shows they get it. Creatives collect things, ticket stubs, interesting quotes, little scraps that might spark something later.
Yeah, a place to keep those bits and pieces.
Exactly. It's all part of the ecosystem of creativity.
So wrapping this up then, it seems pretty clear that journaling isn't just, writing down what happened today. It's a really active, powerful way to fuel creativity.
Absolutely. It gives you structure, helps you wrestle with those inevitable blocks, and actively grows your imagination.
And having the right kind of journal. One designed with creative needs in mind, like the Lestallion, with its sturdy paper, helpful layouts, numbered pages, all that stuff that can genuinely make the whole process easier and more effective.
It supports the practice. Because creativity is a practice, not just the passive thing that happens to you. Journaling is the space for that practice, and good tools make any practice better.
It really makes you pause and think, doesn't it? What's that very first idea, that first little spark you might put down on a fresh page? Where could that initial mark lead you if you started your own journaling deep dive?